Welcome to the first TriGeordieCast. This will probably be the only unscripted stuff on the channel. I'm hoping to develop this a bit more, so I'll have guests on in the future, which, to be fair, it's just a couple of mates. Probably chat about contentious things like disc brakes, things like that. I'll give you a quick rundown of the channel as to what I'm trying to achieve. It's just a hobby for me. I'm not trying to build a business. I enjoy editing videos together and stuff like that, so it's just part of that. Mixes in with the tri stuff slightly, so yeah, I wanted to do that. The whole concept came about because of an article in 220 Triathlon magazines, one of those magazines that I recommend you don't buy. They were banging on about the cost of triathlon and how it's the domain of hedge fund managers, and I was just getting into triathlon at the time and I really disagreed with that. It was probably about 2012, something around there. The article itself went on, it used either a former pro or someone, or a neo pro, or someone who was quite good, like a really good age grouper. The challenge was using second-hand or cheap stuff. Could you match or better the time on a course from the previous year? Now, of course, when he rebooked the race and did the race with his cheap stuff, apparently the weather was crap, but hey-ho, it is what it is. It wasn't a very scientific test to start with. This guy went off and bought some stuff from eBay. Now, one of the things he was moaning about was not having a power meter. Now, back then, a power meter was about 500-600 quid, and you could buy a pretty decent bike for 300 back then. So he's moaning about not having something that would cost about the same, or the same as a decent entry level bike, or two sort of basic bikes. When I mentioned this to a mate who was really into cycling, I mean almost Voluminati level, and he was saying, oh well, power meters, training with power meters, it's a thing, it's not made up, it's really useful. I'm thinking, right, okay, yes, I appreciate power is a thing, but to spend that much money to be moaning about, oh well, I can't really race because I haven't got this fancy bit of kit, and that just drove me up the wall. I did write in with a whinge about saying triathlon can't be that expensive, and it doesn't need to be that expensive. They edited the letter down purely for space, I'm sure, but I think I had some fairly valid points. And off the back of that irritation, which is how most things start for me, I'll be honest, something irritates me, so I try and do something about it, is I create a website through Google Sites. And that rumbled on for a few years, and I decided, right, I need to make this better and do a website. So I bought a web domain name this year, and I've set up this YouTube channel. I'm not trying to sell anything through it. If people want merch, then I might sort of look into it, but probably not. I think it's be a safe bet that it's not going to go anywhere. But it's there if you want to read it. Most of that stuff will probably end up as sort of basis of scripts for videos going forward. I'm not planning on publishing frequently. I've got a monthly schedule, I think, set up. I'm not going to be just creating content for the sake of it. Which brings me on to what the channel isn't going to be. Which it isn't going to be a news channel. I'm not going to follow pro triathletes. I'm not going to follow what they're doing. I'm not going to have articles up. I don't want to be one of those channels that just flicks the camera on, then goes through an article for 10 minutes or whatever, has a bit moan, and then that's uploaded. Not having a pop at any of those channels that do that. But I think what I want this channel to be is a resource of information, and yes, I do have my ignorant rants and my opinions, but I don't want it to age to a certain extent. So you can go back and refer to earlier videos if you find them useful, if you want to, if anyone cares. The stuff's there. I want to put a little bit of effort into the videos. Again, not slanging on those channels because that's what they've got to do. They've got to put out 3 videos a day just to keep their income going and their engagement and all the rest of it. That's not what I'm about. I don't care. So I'm going to put out what I want to put out. If people like it, great. If they don't like it, I don't care. I'm still going to keep putting the stuff out. Like I said, I'm not up for selling you stuff. I'm not going to be selling you protein powders or exercise routines or Gumroad courses or anything like that. It is what it is. If something, I'm just going to tell you what works for me, what doesn't work for me. If you find anything useful, take it, discard the rest. And that's all it is. Just keep it easy. I'll give you a few updates. So we have the Black Diamond now has 30mm cyclocross tyres on. I put those on for the winter, also because it could take them. I couldn't believe the spacing between the rear steers, so they got upgraded, and I got them really cheap as well. They were ridiculously cheap. I think I got a pair for them of 15 quid, and they are amazing. Schwalbe CX ones with I think it's their level 3 Kevlar guard in them, and they're tremendous. You can feel it on the road slightly. I didn't notice it at first, but I've since put 47 mils on the hybrid because I've been doing a lot of off-roading this year, and you can certainly feel that when you hit the road. Off-road you don't notice it, but when you hit the road, wow, you feel the drag on that. And I noticed it because I did a 6-hour ride yesterday, and I did notice the slight resistance. So when it comes to racing next year, I'll probably switch those wheels over. So there's the 28mm slicks on when it comes to events, but I really enjoy the 30mm tyres. They're comfortable, they're good off-road. Did a serious off-road ride with it, and I was surprised at how well it handled it. It was just in October when, well, it was right before the ground was particularly muddy, so it handled the ground as it was. Since then, I've done the same ride on the hybrid, and I couldn't have done it with a CX tyres. The other upgrade I think I'm going to do to it is change it from a 6-speed to a 7-speed with the Mega Range cassette, purely because I want to buy the 7-speed. I've got another couple of bike projects lined up, and I want to use the 7-speed on a bike that I use, so I'll probably pop it on there and put that 6-speed onto the Rally in preparation for next year, so that can tackle hills a little bit better, because up front it's 52-42 up front, and climbing 42-28 is an interesting experience, but I like my knees the way they are and I'd like to not be injured. So that's going to go on there. Whether or not I change the front chain rings, no plans as yet. Maybe the following year, but not for next year. I've also been slow running a lot lately, and slow running for me is probably ridiculous walking pace for most people. It seems to have a lot of benefits. I'm being consistent. I'm running with a mate who was just really getting back into running, and he's been doing it for a few weeks longer than me. I've had the last couple of weeks off, so it's just been turbo work and stuff like that. But he's come back to me and he's told me his park run times are getting faster. It seems to be working, so minimal stress on the body, and it seems to be working. I'll probably do a video off the back of that as well at some point. I'm also doing a mini weights routine, because I was doing a full body workout, but you need at least a day in between those to recover, whereas if you split it up, that allows you a bit of recovery time. So I'm doing that 4 days a week, or 1 day off, and the other 2 days I'm going to try and get sort of large bike rides in, because I always do Saturday mornings anyway. Feeling that it's probably going to be some time on the turbo. I'm also trying to get 2 workouts in a day, and if I cycle into work, that's technically, because I'm going to go there and go back, that's 2, plus I'll probably stick a run in as well, so that ups that. Weights coming down, So that's always a positive as well. Plans going forward, I would like to do some more animation, like the swim video. I know it's crap, but I really enjoyed it. I think it got the point across. I can only get better the more I try and do it, but then again, I think part of the charm is that it's a bit chunky. But whatever. Again, I don't care if anybody else likes it. I like doing it, so here-ho. Got some events lined up for next year. There's definitely one triathlon. I'm hoping to do possibly 2 duathlons, but there's a lot of off-road, gravel as they're called, events, so they're not races. I want to give those a go, so it's slower style, and that's what I'm going to be looking forward to next year. I'm also probably going to be producing some different styles of video. This is one of them. Again, I don't want to be a just switch on the camera and rant sort of channel. Again, no shade of those channels, but I'm not trying to generate an income. I don't have. This isn't my primary source of income, and it probably never will be. And I'll probably not get anything. Eventually, I might get a couple of pence a month from ads, maybe. Probably not even that. Going forward, like I said at the top of this as well, I would like to get a couple of mates on. Probably try and do this more frequently with a permanent co-host. Ideally, it would be done after a ride, so stop off for a coffee and have a bit of a natter and whinge on. I'd like to try and keep them as short as possible, so possibly max out at 20 minutes, if that. If the conversation's really interesting, yeah, it may go on. But let's be honest, there's only so much you can blather on about gear and bikes and disc brakes and sock length and God knows what else people are whinging about these days. That's the plan for the channel. See how it goes. If you want to stick with it, fine. If you don't, again, fair enough. I'm not producing this content for an audience or anything. It's just what I want to do. It keeps me entertained. And for those of you who are going to stick with it, keep training. I'll see you in the next video.